Let's now understand the concept of defective or incomplete return. Now what may happen is that many a time we prepare returns and there are many a complicated issue that may come in. In some cases, in simple cases, many a times people prepare their own return of income and don't necessarily go to the experts. So what can happen in those cases is that there could be some unintentional mistakes, that might occur. Now, just because the mistakes have occurred doesn't mean that the person who's made mistake had some kind of a malified intention or wrong intentions. So, what happens is that the law provides a specific section which deals with the case where you file a defective or an incomplete return. Let's read it. So I'm on the first part. AO may find the return defective. So if the AO sees the return and finds that there are certain defects in the return, intimation of defects. So what the AO will do is he will intimate the defect to the assessee and tell him, look, this is the defect which is there in your return, please correct it. Where the AO considers that the return of income filed by the assessee is defective, he may intimate the defect to the assessee. So what he will do is he'll send a letter to the assessee saying that your return of income is defective. He will intimate this defect to the assessee and ask him to rectify the defect. Period of rectification. So now once the AO has told the assessee to rectify the defect, the assessee has to revert to the AO within certain period of time. He cannot keep on sitting on it indefinitely. And what is the period for rectification given? 15 days, which may be extended by the AO on assessee's application. So what can happen is that once AO has notified the defect to the assessee has two options. He can either rectify the defect, which has to be done within 15 days. Let's see it here. AO intimates the defect to the assessee. Okay. Now assessee can either rectify the defect, which has to be done within 15 days, or he may file an application to the assessing officer telling him to extend this time period of 15 days. Now if the assessing officer accepts this request, then the assessee has to rectify the defect within such period as is specified therein. Where such application is not disposed, which means that if the assessee files an application to the assessing officer and the assessing officer does not reply to that application, its time should be deemed to have been granted. So what does this mean? This means that the assessee can take a position that the AO has agreed to my request. So let me just do this once again. So the AO and assessee. AO intimates the defect. Assessee can rectify 15 days, or he can make an application to the AO for extension of time. Now the AO can either reject extension or grant it, or may not reply. If he rejects, then it has to be done within 15 days. If he grants, extended time. And if he does not reply, then it is treated that the extension has been given. And the third thing is that the assessee does not rectify. If it does not rectify, then the return is an invalid return. Okay. Rectification after the specified period, what happens is that if instead of suppose 15 days, he does it in 20 days, then the AO may condone the delay. He may say, okay, there is some default which has happened, but let me give you the permission to do this within 20 days. And if he is kind enough, he will treat this as a valid return.